dropped out of gear so there won't be turbulence when I go behind you.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ron.
And I'm Marie.
10 years ago, we bought a broken down trawler for $4,000.
And nothing worked, not even the kitchen sink.
After a lot of hard work and help from our friends and family, we moved aboard Elixir full time. And now we are cruising this old boat while the work and fun continues.
So subscribe and give us a like and come along with us, cruising this old boat.
Well, this is the biggest tow we've passed so far. I just got to show you this. It is 8 barges long and 7 barges across. That's 56 barges this tug is pushing. And I will tell you, he's not moving very fast.
Nice of him to take it out of gear for you.
Yep. Early level. Thank you for letting me swing by.
Yes, sir. Not a problem. Holler if you need some.
Thank you.
It's a tight fit.
It was, but we did it.
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Right.
Oh, I thought it died. We gotta get past all this stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Is there any more tows up here?
That's it. It's right here. Just go past that and we'll go up there. We are in Memphis, Tennessee. It is day 161 of our trip to Oklahoma, and we have traveled 1,992 nautical miles. So this is supposedly the largest Bass Pro Shop in the world, and they say it's got everything inside. It's not only a huge store, but it's like a park, entertainment center. It's got 2 restaurants. So we're gonna go check it out.
Like a train, you'll hear me coming from 100 miles away. I don't ever remember running as fast as when that's exactly what I mean. It's you, yeah, it's always been you, and everyone around can see. It's true, yeah, it's a dream come true, that you're the only one for me. And darling, you're proof that we're always gonna make it through. Cause you only wanna be with me, and I only wanna be with you. Oh, yeah, I only wanna be with you. Like a storm cloud in the distance, you can feel me moving in.
We are in Bass Pro Shops in Memphis, Tennessee, and this place is monstrous. It's shaped like a pyramid on the outside. Inside, it's 2 floors of shopping. It's got a hotel in here, a bowling alley in here, at least 2, maybe 3 restaurants. We didn't quite figure that out. One of them's a Wahlburgers. Another one all the way up is a seafood restaurant. We didn't go up to that because you probably need reservations. They had a long line of people waiting to go up. There's a observation tower up there, so you can go up and you're way up in the sky, and you can look out around this over the city. You see this blue behind me, that's the express elevator. It goes all the way to the top to the observation tower and the restaurant up there. And it's just a huge Bass Pro Shops. They got all kinds of stuff to buy, and we kind of went a little crazy, but you know, we don't get to places like this very often. So it's an awesome place. They got ponds inside. They got boats in the water inside the building. They have fish that are huge. We saw gar that had to be at least 5 foot long. We saw, I think they're sturgeon that had to be at least 6 feet long. I mean, just monstrous fish in these ponds in here. And like I said, they got full-size boats sitting in the ponds, not little john boats, but boats sitting in them. That's how big this thing is. So you can easily spend a day in here. We've spent, I don't know how many hours we've been in here. And just grab a meal while you're here. And it's a great way to spend the day.
Okay, so I've got to add to that. There's an arcade, and there was something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, we only brought 1 backpack, and our cart's half full. So
We came by bike.
yeah, we came by bicycles.
It's you, yeah, it's always been you, and everyone around can see. It's true, yeah, it's a dream come true, that you're the only one for me. And darling, you're
I found this pretty interesting, how they deal with the change in water levels on these river systems. In the coastal waters we're used to traveling, you've got a set tide for a set area. So like Georgia's got 8-9 foot tides. You have to have floating docks, but you know, they're only going to go up 8 or 9 feet unless there's a really severe storm or something like that. Other places down in Florida, the tide is so little, they have fixed docks because you don't even notice the tide. But here they have huge swings between the storm season in the spring and the dry season in the winter. And so they've got to come up with special ways to deal with it. The first thing they do is they have huge pilings compared to the coast. These things are, I don't know, 3 foot in diameter. They're made out of metal and they are tall. Look at this guy. And way up at the top, you can see they've marked off the highest it's gotten that they're aware of, which was 47.9 feet. And that happened in on May 10th of 2011. So the problem is they've got floating docks here, but the problem is that when it goes up that high, what do you do with your gangplank? Because it would be underwater at the far end. and very steep to walk up to it to get to the docks. And that's if it just didn't all fall into the water. They've got the same problem with their fuel dock in their office, which is a floating dock. The building is on the floating dock. And so you've got the same problem there, is that thing floats up and down. What do you do with the gangplank? And so they came up with this system where the gangplanks are attached to winches and they're on railroad tracks and they go up a hill. So as the docks are rising up, they use the electric winch and pull the gangplank up the hill so that it stays in a relatively, I don't know, we'll say level position with the dock. And then because we need to be able to walk to the gangplank, they have to have all these different levels of the sidewalk that comes to the gangplank. So this is one we're using right now, but you can see they've got one lower, so they can go one more down, and they'd be pretty dry if they got that far. But they do have one sidewalk lower, and then they've got a bunch of them higher. Well, I shouldn't say a bunch, but they got a few that are higher. So as the water level raises up, they can bring the gangplank up, and then, for instance, we'd use the next one. And then if the water level continued to increase, they've got 1, 2, looks like 3, 4 more levels that they could move the gangplank to, and each of them has its own sidewalk going to it. And each of those sidewalks goes over to the parking lot, which is here behind me. And so just depending on the water level, you got to know which sidewalk to go onto to get to that gangplank. And their office and fuel dock, which is on its own floating dock separate from where the boats are at, it has no piling, so it has to be able to move completely independently of it. So they've got a gangplank, and then they've got a separate support structure, and they've got a cable that runs all the way up this ramp, and they're able to pull, as the water level rises, they pull the entire floating dock along with the gangplank up this ramp. And they've done it twice just since we've been here, because the water level's been dropping, so they've been lowering it. And they've got these pegs that they put in holes to hold it in place. I asked the dock master, John, and he said that they correspond to a 6-foot rise or lowering of the river. So every time it moves 6 feet, they've got to move this entire contraption from one peg hole to the next peg hole. And it's a lot of work for them. I've sat here and watched them twice so far. And then of course they've got water and fuel and electricity and all that stuff out on the floating dock. So they have to have a way to move that around. And so they've got these big cables that plug in depending on where the dock is at. The entire length of this ramp, about every 5 feet or so, is a connection where they can plug the cables in so that they can move their fuel hoses and electricity and all that up and down the ramp as they move the fuel dock. So I don't know who thought all this up, but it's a pretty ingenious way to deal with 20, 30, 40, 50 foot rises and falls of the river, albeit pretty complicated, but it seems to work. Thanks for watching.